to my vlog. You can call me Marie. I am vlogging here from Denmark, and today we are going to talk a bit about hats, because that's kind of my mood right now. Normally I do like sweaters and sweater dresses and I've been, I have a lot of big projects on my needles, so I've been knitting a couple of hats, also because I think I need to use some of my scraps, and there's a lot of talk about when is something a scrap, and in my opinion, I think of, if there is not enough to do like a sweater, something like that, then I tend to think of it as a scrap or something that I need to combine with something. And sometimes that's a creative challenge that I like, and sometimes I might be a bit more challenged because as you can see, I'm sitting here in a what do you call them, a hoodie, and there is a hood with this thing. I test knitted this pattern for Pickles, which is a Norwegian yarn brand. They also do knitting patterns, and I don't know how the final result came to with the recipe, because I finished what I needed to finish in time, and I gave them my notes as far as I remember. But I had this lying around for a long time, missing like one leg and an arm and things like that. But I had bought a lot of this green yarn, and now I am making a hat, because I have 4 children, and the 2 oldest children have boyfriends, and these all these young people, they are walking around freezing their ears and their hands. So right now I am thinking a lot about small stuff like hats and mittens and things like that. So right now I'm doing this hat because I had like 2, maybe 3 skeins, balls of yarn left, and that's enough for a hat or 2. And it actually started, the hat thing started with my husband. He needed a hat, and I'll just show you the prototype, because I bought the recipe from PetiteKnit, called, I'll just find it, give me a sec. This is the prototype, and as you can see, I've changed the recipe quite a lot. The recipe is a lot of Oslo hat, this one. So I've changed it a lot because my husband didn't like this broad fold, I would call it. He wanted a shorter one. He likes, the way we wear hats are apparently very different, because he has very short hair, so he likes his hats to be actually just shorter, because he wants to wear them like this. So they don't sometimes even, like this, not covering the ears, because he just wants something on the top of his head, and he doesn't like this, So I actually, this is the prototype because he thinks this yarn itches, and it does. It's a reclaimed merino yarn, so it's a bit more woolly than a normal merino yarn, I would say. But so this one is because I don't mind the texture of the yarn. I'm not that I like it, but it's too short for me because, as you can see, this is not covered, and I also think it might be a bit too tight because today I'm wearing my hair half down. But normally I would do like a high ponytail, and to be able to have this high ponytail I need a hat that's a bit longer. So last year I knitted this. This is 2 strands of sock yarn from It's Yarn. Here's a Danish hand dyer, and I knitted this. I'm just going to try and put it on where it looks okay. And this is just like me figuring out how many stitches I needed to make this size. So this is the one I made last year, and a couple of weeks ago my 9-year-old daughter stole this one, so I've just been out in her wardrobe and finding this, because just as I expected, after wearing it for a couple of weeks she got like, I don't want it anymore. There is something wrong with it. In this case she kept on, because this part of Denmark where we live, it blows almost every day when it's not high summer. Even in the summer it kind of blows a lot. So she wanted something that was more like airtight, and I told her, you can't make a hat that's airtight, you can't knit something like that. But so right now this is not being used that much, but yeah. I didn't write down what I did with this one, but it's a knit 2 purl 2 rib, like this. 2 strands of sock yarn, and I just knitted it, I would say 30 something centimeters. Then I started decreasing the number of stitches, and in the end I just pulled a thread through the niches, and I fastened it on the back side. So so that's an old hat. I actually have found a hat that's even older, and it's also it's full of, this is when I go out in the garden. This is the one I use. This is more like a what do you call it? Barrett? I don't know. I'm not sure what you call this model in English, but I like these types of hats too. They're more tight, so they are more practical when you're doing working in the garden or something like that. So this is often the one, and this is very old, but I have made quite a lot of this model, and I think I found it in a magazine years ago. So you start on the top up here with just a few stitches on the needles, and then you increase the number of stitches. That's why you have, this is a very dark gray, so it might be hard to see, but you have like all the increases you take out in I think it's 8. Yes, you have like 8 points where you increase the number of stitches, and that way at some point you have enough stitches for this, and then you do a couple of rounds just, you know, in the stockinette, and then you decrease. There is a decrease here. Also 8 places. So I guess must have had like stitch markers on the 8 points, because they are right on top of each other. And then you decrease to make that puffy look, and then just like some ribbing here on the bottom, two purl, two purl, 2 knit. So this is also a model that I have used for a while, because when you have like 2 or 3 balls of yarn or skeins of yarn, then you can do a hat like this. This is also a sock yarn. This is made of. I'm actually doing hats in sock yarn is a good thing, because hats tend to have a bit of a rough life, because they, even though they're just on your head, they go down in, I have one in my handbag. You put them in your pockets on your jacket. They tend to be like things that have kind of a rough being. So I also found this one, and this is my 9-year-old's hat. Of course, it's too small for her now, and my 5-year-old doesn't like hand knitted things at all. And this is inspired by the Angus pattern that PetiteKnit also did, and I just saw it on Instagram and I thought, I can do that, and I just figured out how many stitches I needed to have, and then I did this. And actually recently I just discovered that the Angus hat should be free. You should be able to find that for free on PetiteKnit's homepage, or maybe even on Ravelry, but check it out. I just heard another podcast to talk about that she'd done these for her children, because this is smart for children, because they just want to do like this, and then they want to go out and play. They don't want to stand in front of the mirror and doing folds and looking that it's looking right and turned right the right way. So you have like a lot of store-bought hats have like these squared marks, which is supposed to be right in the center in the front, and small children, they don't want to muck about and do things like that. So, and maybe I am kind of like a small child. Sometimes I think so myself. So this is one I knitted. I bought the yarn at by Kielrik, which is also a Danish hand dyer. This is though a commercial yarn. This is a Rowan yarn, Rowan felted tweed, that I've bought in 3 colors to do this, and the pattern is from a Danish knitwear designer called Stine Hoelgaard Johansen. She has, I'm not sure that her patterns are translated into English. If you really want me to send you her webpage, please leave me a comment and I will write you the webpage, because yeah. But this is from her book called Striktern, which means knit plait, I guess. So she was inspired by like bricks and house fronts and things like that. There's a lot of pictures of her inspiration in the book. This reminds me a lot of like tartan patterns, Scottish tartan patterns, and I love this thing. This is totally my favorite at the moment. I have, because this is folded, I have 3 layers of yarn covering all of my ears. As you can see, my hair can easily be inside this hat because I have extra room up here. So when I have like a high ponytail, the high ponytail fills out this material up here. And I've discovered that I actually don't like my hats to be too tight, because this is the large. The yarn in the original version has a it's the original version is 100 meters per 50 grams. Yeah, and this is 175 per 50 grams. So this is a lot thinner. So in the original pattern, you should knit this hat with a 20 stitches per 10 centimeters. But I wanted to use this yarn for this pattern, so I just did the biggest size, and instead of 20 stitches, I think I have 24 stitches per 10 centimeters. So, but it works. It's, you know, it's wonderful. And a lot of, you know, the way you measure it, so it's not that important how many rows you have per 10 centimeters, which I like. I am definitely more into, you know, being able to measure my knitwear instead of all the counting thing, because I am a trained seamstress, and that's the way I learned how to do things. So I love this. And just because I bought 4 balls of yarn, 2 of the brown one, and 1 of the dark blue, and 1 of the light blue. So I had enough yarn to make a hat, 1 more hat, and I just washed this yesterday. And this one is knitted bottom up, so you start here, because then you knit, and then you sew this fold up here when you finish knitting. You do some purling and some knitting to make to prepare for the pattern, which is crocheted on top afterwards. And that was a lot easier, and actually very enjoyable to do the crocheting on top of the knit. And it doesn't ruin like the flexibility in the hat. It's still very soft. It's not like as tense as crocheting can be. I'm just going to put this on. But I had this was knitted bottom up, and I wanted to do a top down. So I've actually written down this pattern, and I'm working on making a pattern which will be released on Ravelry sometime in the future, because this is very simple, but I have a couple of patterns that I haven't finished. I do a bit of pattern making when I, get the urge to do it. But so sometimes from I finish a project until there is a finished recipe, that might take a while. But I'll just show you this. This is, the leftovers, the scraps from this hat. So I started up here, and then I increased the number of stitches, just like in the dark gray one. Then I did like this, in Danish it's called a false Aaron, I don't know. I did this pattern, and then I did a tartan pattern, but not much more simple than in this one. As you can see, this is much more simpler than this one. Then I did a knit and purl pattern in the light blue ramen. Then I did a in here we have the slip stitch and pattern here. West Knits has a whole line of hats and socks and shawls in this, and he calls it painted bricks. They're all called painted bricks. So if you think this pattern is beautiful and interesting, please go to West Knit and look at some of his patterns, because there is a lot of gray, and this is still wet. So I'm just, but this is what it's going to look like. My son-in-law, one of my son-in-laws, borrowed it yesterday, so I have seen it on, but now you'll also see it on, and it's still wet, it's still a bit moist, but as you can see, I have like this extra fabric up here. You can easily feel that this is a lot thinner than the crocheted one, which is kind of interesting because it's knitted on completely the same needles as the other one. But this is, I just like this because I wanted to use all three colors, and I didn't weigh the yarn, so I'm not sure, but I had a little more of the brown one than of the two blues, so that's why I started with the brown up here. But I've been just trying, having fun with my needles. So yeah, and then I ended up with a stripy pattern because that way I could make sure that I had enough yarn to make it as long as I wanted it to be. I'm not sure how long. I haven't actually measured it yet because I haven't started. I have notes for this hat, but I haven't written down the pattern yet, and I think I'll make it in 3 different sizes, this being the biggest one, because my son-in-law had it on yesterday, and he has, because he's a boy, or a young man you could say, he has a bit of a bigger head than I have, and so I'm sure that this is going to be the biggest size, because women don't have as big heads as men has, and I'm not sure that you would knit a hat like this for a guy. Maybe you would, because if you changed the pattern, because my idea is to make a lot of different diagrams that you can follow, so that you can make your unique hat. That's my idea. So this is what I'm doing right now. I'm doing a lot of hats. I'm doing a lot of hat knitting because I want to use some of my biggest scraps. So this is I've written down the pattern for this one. This is also top down, and this is going to be just in stockinette, and then with the folded brim, isn't that, maybe I just realized what the word was that I've been missing for the last 20 minutes. Typical. But down here I also have a hat that I've been working on for a while. I'm not sure if maybe I'll unravel this, because I started this before, right when I'd finished the hat for my husband. This is a version of the Oslo hat. I really like the color. This is a scrap from the orange dress that I am knitting on in several of these vlogs, old vlogs. I think the first and maybe also number 3 or 4, I'm knitting on this orange mohair dress that I did this summer. And of course I had a scrap of mohair. But I might unravel this because the brim here, or the fold, is only 5 centimeters long, I think. And on the hats that I've started to make now, it's 10 centimeters wide. Actually, on the tartan one, it's 12 centimeters wide, and I really like that wide because it's just warmer. And when I'm out walking, I freeze my ears. I've realized that I have come to a point where I'm so old that I've started to freeze my ears. So yeah, but I have this is a Knit Pro 50 centimeters Symphony 3.25 needle that I have bought on sale. So it's a funny size. Normally you wouldn't buy a 50 centimeter needle in Denmark. You don't buy them in stores, but I bought this online. Yeah. So this is what I'm doing right at the moment. I think I'm going to unravel this, but I won't do it right now because I have a stitch marker in it and I need to find somewhere to place the stitch marker. But yeah, I'm going to continue knitting on this. This is green and green. I'm not going to wear this hat, don't worry, with this green outfit, because the hoodie, I also have green pants that matches the hoodie. The pattern for this set is it's called Cosa, C-O-S-A. The pattern, I think you can get it in English at Pickles. They are on Ravelry and they have their own webpage. And if you are living in Europe, particularly if you're living in Denmark, then right now the Norwegian crown is not that expensive. So you can actually buy the pattern with the yarn at their webpage. I might write the name of the webpage. Yeah. But I think this is all I have to say about hats for today. I hope that you have enjoyed listening to me talk about hats and my thoughts about hats. We didn't talk that much materials because this is a blow yarn, so you can do hats in all sorts of yarns. And I am, thinking a bit about doing hats in the scrap yarns, like doing magic knots, magic bolts of yarn, and then doing hats. But at some point I might have enough hats for me and the family, and then I might return to other projects. And I never promise anything on these vlogs, and I'm not promising you that I will be, doing a lot of hats. But right now, this is what I'm doing. It suits me fine. And as you can see, I only use 3 needles when I can. I am very old school, so I'm doing these types of needles because that's how I learned to knit when I was 8. I don't remember when I started knitting like this. Well, anyways, this is it for today. That's all I wanted to say. thank you for watching my vlog. Please give me a like so other people can find my channel. Leave a comment if you have any questions to the yarns or the colors or the patterns that I've talked about. And if you don't already subscribe to my channel, please press the subscribe button, and I hope that I will see you again next time I put something up. If you can't wait for me to put new materials up and you haven't seen all of my old vlogs, they are just below here. You can go down and find them. I do it in a different way here in the English version than I do in the Danish version. I also have a Danish knitting podcast, which is also called Kokholmsk, just like this one, but it's just in Danish and it's on another channel. But if you search on YouTube, you can find it. Have a nice day. I hope that you're going to have a good 2024, and I hope that you are enjoying life in general. Have a nice day.